on, everybody? Welcome into the Highlight, a business podcast for business people. We are all about shining the spotlight, the highlight, whatever the hell it's called, on all the other smart business leaders in the world. And today, I'm joined by my co-founder, the High Beam Marketing co-founder, Austin Lynch. Austin, welcome back to the show. I'm glad you decided to show up for work today.
I did, yeah. I didn't get to wear my shiny black polo, but I'm keeping it casual on a Friday afternoon.
Well, what's funny about you missing out on the shiny black polo memo is that we got a big announcement today. And you will know if you're watching on the YouTube channel already that we have a third guy here that's wearing the same shirt I am, because we definitely coordinated this. We're that organized as a team. We're joined today by our new founding partner, Ben Tonak. Ben, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the team, officially.
Glad to be here. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I think for some color for everybody out there listening, so Austin and I founded the company together in late 2021, and then pretty quickly ended up needing some help with some contracting stuff and approached you to help us. And then very soon after that, we realized, oh man, Ben knows his stuff at a level that we don't in certain areas, and then also has the entrepreneurial DNA that our leadership team needs as we're looking to scale and grow this business. So as a partner, I'm sure Austin feels the same way. We're super happy to bring you on board, and today is officially your first day. I know this episode will come out later, but this is a big deal for us. We're very excited. Our company's growing, and this is awesome.
Yeah, it's it's a good time. I started with you guys in what was it, early last year?
Yeah.
And I very quickly realized you guys had some super good business acumen, and you guys are obviously people I've worked with before, and I enjoy being around you. So it just made a natural fit where I was like, I gotta get in on this. So.
Yeah. So give everybody, I mean, we know your background, obviously, but give everybody out there listening now a little bit of an overview of who you are and how you got to where you're at now.
Yeah, so I've been in marketing and advertising for a little over 9 years at this point. I've worked in agency world, I've worked in in-house marketing teams, and managed all sorts of different types of products and businesses, from healthcare all the way to real estate. So I've done a little bit of everything. But lately I've been more in the search world, but I've done traditional marketing platforms like billboards and print, and I've done pretty much everything under the sun in the digital space.
You said one of my trigger words, billboards. Austin looked at me as soon as you said it. Do I have to go on my tangent now, Austin? Is that the thing?
Well, you can go find it in probably 3 or 4 other episodes. It's out there somewhere. Tonak, I wanna touch on one thing because as Chandler alluded to, we all worked together in a previous life. So what I'd love for you to touch on is, over the last couple of years, you've been really focusing on the technical side of advertising and the marketing tech that goes into it. We'd love for you to take a second to just tell everybody about that and kind of what that actually means and looks like on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, way back before I actually got into advertising and marketing, I had a small background in software engineering, and so I've always been interested in the tech side of things. The trick to the last couple of years is ad tech has been getting super complex, like very complex, and so most of what anybody does in advertising anymore involves some level of advertising technology. So the last couple of years, I've really focused on learning how to do that stuff and then how to do it really, really well. So the key is, how do we get the data that the algorithms that all of the different ad platforms use now into this right spot so that advertising can perform at its peak effectiveness. So that's really ultimately what I've been doing the last couple of years. So I've got the background in the actual running the ads, but now I've really dived deep on the tech side and making sure stuff runs really, really at a high level.
Well, I'm glad you do it, because I've told this story before on the podcast that when I was running all my ads for the barbecue restaurant, I didn't even know how to get conversions set up on Facebook. So I had no idea how well my ads were doing. And so when I got to meet you and people like you, that all of a sudden you're able to actually help morons like me figure out how the technical side of the advertising things work. And it's not all just stories and content and feel good, whatever one-liners that Chandler has. It's actual technical expertise, and I think it's awesome. And I think you bring a specific skill set to the team that is going to take us to a whole new level in 2023. So it's great. And I think on the back of that, now that we've got you here as an official guest, and you'll join us on the podcast periodically throughout the year when you're not way too busy helping fix all of our clients' MarTech issues. But I want to piggyback on some things and and go deep on a few things that we've talked about in meeting rooms as a marketing ownership team. And I want to start with GA4. You know, that's the big thing that a lot of advertisers are worried about, or marketers, I'm sorry, are worried about going into this year. And it's the transition is right on the doorstep here. So take a minute, and for those that don't know, maybe if they're living under a rock, what is GA4? What's happening there, and what do we need to be aware of?
Yeah, GA4 is one thing to say fairly obviously the fourth version of Google Analytics.
I wonder
they haven't really numbered them. Yeah, they haven't numbered them before. This is kind of the first time they've ever numbered it. Like the last version of Google Analytics is called Universal Analytics. The crazy part about where GA4 is taking us is into a whole new world of measurement. It's completely different than the Google Analytics that most marketers are going to be used to now. The interface is different. How it measures things is different. What Google is trying to prepare everyone for is the step into a cookieless world. So for those who aren't really aware of that, like a cookie is what tracks you on a website. It helps identify the things that you've done or the behaviors that you've done, and that allows marketers to market better. As privacy concerns come up in the industry and companies are starting to look at ways to kill the cookie, as they call it, Google is one of those companies, and Apple is as well with Safari and changes in how they manage how they track users. Google is introducing GA4 as a way to combat the restrictions that are coming out in the cookie side. So it's some things are harder to measure in GA4, some things are going to be better. It really just kind of depends on what you're doing. So the craziest part about GA4 is the deadline is coming up very, very fast. If you're a free GA user, if you don't have an enterprise account, that deadline is July of this year. If you have an enterprise account and you're paying for the full what they call Universal Analytics 360, you have until July of next year. So you still have a lot of time left. But yeah, GA4 is going to it's going to be a learning curve for everyone, including us. It's going to be a learning curve for every single marketer out there, because after July of this year, you no longer have a choice. Universal Analytics will stop recording data, and you'll have to use it.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is that the marketers that choose to adopt it early, learn how to use it, become proficient at it. I think those are the type of people who, will be able to kind of set themselves apart from the rest of the group. Ben, I'd love for you to talk more about the upcoming transition date and kind of talk about, what you need to do to be prepared for that. And then also, let's say you forget, what will happen to your account if you don't do anything between now and July?
So normally we don't love it when Google just does things for us, right? But one of the things that Google is doing to help people prepare is if you do forget about it, they're automatically generating a GA4 view for you in your current analytics account. I don't have the date off the top of my head of when they're doing that, but they have started sending out notices into people's accounts saying, hey, if you haven't done this yet, pretty soon we're going to generate a view for you for GA4 and start collecting data. So Google's trying to kind of hedge not just their bets, but also help their clients like start to record this stuff if they don't have the time to set it up themselves. So nobody should panic too much, but at the same time, is if you let Google do it for you, you lose some of the control on the settings and making sure it's collecting the right information. So definitely, if you can get in there early and start to get a feel for it, like I said, it's a different UI. It's going to take some time to get used to, find where things are at. Like that's definitely something you'll want to do sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I just looked it up while we were talking, and it looks like it's actually March is when they'll start to automatically create your GA4 views for you. And so if you're listening to this and you don't know about GA4, but you do have Google Analytics, maybe it's time to go take a look, because there might be a new view in there that you didn't create. And that would be a great time to start learning that.
Yeah, I love to hear you guys talk about this stuff. And I'm going to be honest, I try really, really hard to really internalize it and really be smarter than I am. But I've been gifted in certain other areas, and the technical side of things is not one. And the thing I think people that are like me that should take away from this is get a guy. We've talked about it 100 times. Get a guy, whether it's us, whether it's somebody else. Like, it's probably better that you don't navigate this change alone. Like, go to highbeammarketing.com, reach out, and like we can help you with that sort of thing. But I don't want to do a sales plug the whole time, but like this is you can get in a lot of trouble messing around with this stuff, and it can have a big impact on your business. I mean, from an ad standpoint, from a retargeting standpoint, all the things that you need, the information that you need to be able to make better decisions is going to change. And if you don't set that up correctly, what I'm hearing Ben say is like you're going to have a bad time here in about 4 weeks. So clock is officially ticking.
I'd say what's also worth mentioning is a lot of companies use Google Analytics to import their conversion goals into their advertising accounts, and they use those as direct optimization tools. So if you're using Universal Analytics to do that today, your advertising accounts have a risk that when that switchover happens to GA4, your ads will end up having an issue as well. So another thing to prepare most marketers should be doing, especially if you use Google Analytics goals, is get your conversions set up in GA4, import them into your Google Ads account now, have them start to collect data, and slowly transition over to actually optimizing for those goals sometime in the next couple months, so that when the switch happens, your account doesn't have this sudden lurch where it doesn't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, it's a great call out.
Yeah, I love that. Well, if you guys have any other questions, Ben is around, and please reach out to him. He can help you with the GA4 stuff. So I want to transition now to the thing that is seemingly on every headline I've read in the last 4 weeks that's not Google Analytics 4 related, and that is artificial intelligence and what that's doing to the world of marketing in general. ChatGPT is the big popular mega thing. I think it hit 1 million users in, what was it, Austin, 4 or 5 days? Like it was basically overnight.
Really fast.
Like it was the fastest platform to ever get 1 million users ever. And and for good reason, honestly, because the first time you use it, you're just so blown away by something's capability to think creatively and abstractly, sort of like a human. I think the first time I went on there, I was like, write me a 1,000-word blog on social media marketing for a business in the restaurant space. And the blog it put out wasn't bad. And so, Ben, I want to ask you, I've seen a lot of people talking about using AI and using it to write blogs and cut out copywriters and all the things. Like, are you seeing a effect, or is Google and Bing, are they coming out and saying things like, don't do this, it's going to hurt your algorithm effectiveness? Like, what's going on there?
Yeah, oddly enough, Austin and I were just talking about this probably about an hour ago on the way back from lunch. And
a lunch I was not invited to, by the way. I need that.
No, you were not. And we definitely made sure you knew about it too.
Yeah, I heard about this for the last week every day. This is great. I hope it was good.
It's delicious. So one of the things we were talking about was how, look, at the end of the day, there is some level where I think a lot of people are going to be doom scrolling and going, oh, woe is me, my job is going to get automated, especially if you're a copywriter. And honestly, even if you're a graphic designer, there's AI tools out there that can do graphic imaging too. But that doesn't mean that it's a replacement for a human being. There are still things that AI is not going to do perfectly. And there are bits and pieces of, especially like sourcing material, fact checking, all of that stuff that needs at least a person to go and review the sourcing that AI took to use and make that information. And then the specific part you were talking about is like, what is Google saying about that? Austin and I talked about that specifically from the SEO perspective. Now we don't do a ton of SEO, but it is important, right? It's how you rank organically in the search. And one of the things that Google will ding you for is duplicate content. And Google has warned, if everybody uses these chat AI tools, or whether it's Jasper or Copy AI or whatever, oftentimes they're pulling the same source material in to write your article. So if 4 competing companies all use ChatGPT to write the same article, then Google is going to be like, hold on a second. That's all. So you're all saying the same information, and we're going to ding you all for it. We're going to go to that mom and pop place and rank them higher than you because they actually wrote something. So I would say use it cautiously. What I like using it for is more of like an idea generator, or even okay, I'm having some writer's block. Let me put in some prompts and see if it can get me out of my own headspace, because I'm not the strongest writer, but it definitely can help you get out of a rut if you hit that point where you just can't come up with ideas anymore.
Yeah, we just Austin and I just attended, and I ended up speaking at the National Auctioneers Association Digital Marketing Summit, which was fascinating that even exists, and it was a ton of fun for us. About 130 auctioneers from across the country show up, and one of the presenters was in the SEO sort of optimization space, and doing taxonomy for keywords and all those things. And probably the last Austin, quarter of her presentation was around platforms like ChatGPT specifically. And what I found really interesting there, and I'd love to know what you thought about it, Austin, was the AI checker tool that she showed everybody. And then we kind of went quickly and grabbed all of our blogs, which we actually write. But to Ben's point, we've used it as a way to, or we've used AI in the past as a way to bust up the writer's block that we all face sometimes. And none of our blogs were affected, and we all were like 99.8% clear of the AI, the sniffer. But she put some stuff in that was directly copy and pasted, and it was 98% sure.
96, yeah.
It was
pretty
very high.
intense.
Yeah, and so if
It was super
Google,
intense.
Yeah, well, if you don't think Google is going to have that level of sophistication internally for its algorithm to be able to go scroll your site really quick and see how much of it is AI generated. From a content standpoint, I mean, that's the side of the business I am actually, responsible for here at High Beam. But the content side of things, I'm seeing a lot of people out there talking about, oh, you could have AI generate a script for you on whatever topic you want, and then you could have one of these other AIs create a video or graphics or whatever, and then you could just combine the two with an automatic AI voice filter, and then you can make content with basically no effort in 10 minutes, and it's good to go. And the problem with that is that when it's easy and everybody can do it, the volume goes way up, the quality does not go up at the same rate, and so now we're just flooded with more noise. And ultimately what we see time and time again from a content sort of emotional storyteller standpoint is that the things that have heart and soul to them will ultimately stick out. The things that are authentic to you and your brand. I think about Austin's blog that he just wrote this week for the High Beam newsletter, where he broke down the top 3 winners and losers for the Super Bowl commercials this year. That was authentic to him. That was unique content that he came out with, and hopefully we see Google reward creators like that. Is that what we're seeing, Ben? Like that they're going to actually place emphasis on people that are still being creative, or do you think they're going to actually release what was their AI called, Bard or some terribly branded name, where they're going to be like,
it
hey,
was
we don't
so
care,
poorly
just use our
branded.
tool.
I don't even remember the name. It's so poorly branded. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's still too early to tell on whether or not Google is going to reward creators in that way. What I will say, just from a personal perspective that I have on not just marketing, but also like public speaking like you do, if you let a chatbot write your speech or write your outline, you may have the base idea, but what you've just done is you've diluted your message. It's not a replacement for a human being, and that's the most important part to remember, is there's a creativity that humans will have that will always surpass the robots, or at least I hope so. But at least for right now, the AI is still so new. Like, we need to trust that we do have creative ideas that are going to go above and beyond what a computer can generate.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to happen yet, but the thing that's missing is the creative spark to generate the idea to begin with. You still have to feed in the information. I think that'll be a massive job in the future very quickly, is like, how do you communicate with an AI tool to get something effective
Prompt
out of
writing.
it?
Yeah. And one thing I'll say too, just because we're on the topic of kind of sniffing out and kind of writing content ourselves versus letting the machine do it for us, the tool that we were talking about, it's called GPT-2 Output Detector. So pop that into Google. It should be the first thing that pops up. And then, yeah, we would recommend that you, especially if you've been using this tool to help write some of your content, throw it in there. Make sure that you're not getting flagged at a 90% plus rate. Because honestly, that just is probably an indicator of poor quality, to Ben's point. So GPT-2 Output Detector should be the first result you see on Google.
That's good. Well, I mean, in that same vein, then we've seen the announcement recently that Microsoft's Bing search engine has acquired I don't know if they acquired a stake in or invested major money in ChatGPT, which is, again, the darling of the AI revolution right now. And we just saw a product demo maybe 2 weeks ago where they integrated Bing and its search capability and ChatGPT's communication back and forth ability. And so it's pretty fascinating. If you haven't seen it yet, you can search for things and then results are returned just like you normally would see with ads at the top and then, the top organic listings right beneath that. But there on the same page is ChatGPT's response to that. And then you can sort of take two different paths where you either go down the search route or you go down the conversational route with ChatGPT. Now, what I want to know, Ben, is that what is your prediction as a expert in search? You're definitely our expert in Google and Bing search here at Highbeam. And what are you seeing on the horizon for Google? Because if Microsoft actually gets people to adopt this thing faster than Google can roll out a decent competitor, Google's revenue is maybe 60 to 70% dependent on search ads. Microsoft does not need Bing to make money to stay in business. They have so much money coming in from all these different things. What do you think is going to happen?
What's really interesting about Microsoft coming into the space is you're right. Google is a massive dominator in the space, and they have been for a long time. So much so that we treat Google as a verb, right? And so, from that perspective, what the space desperately needs is a competitor that can come up against Google. And Bing has tried to be that for years, and now there's all sorts of other things like DuckDuckGo and some other more privacy, and Brave that are more privacy-based, and things like that. But what's really cool about Bing being the first one to kind of step into the AI space is I think that they actually successfully recognized a change in the industry coming before Google did. This is another thing Austin and I were talking about today is like Google has always been at the top for such a long time because they invested heavily in the algorithm and the AI behind their algorithm. Now, I don't think they were expecting AI to be a way that the user actually interfaces with their product. They were looking at AI as making decisions on which ad to show. And so I've never slept on Bing. I'm just going to put that out there. Like,
in blind testing, Bing tends to win when you strip away the branding of both sites. As far as like quality of search returns and general user experience, Bing tends to win more times than not.
Yeah, and a lot of marketers, like if we strip away the user experience side of either search engine, right? If we just look at marketing, right? What are advertisers using for it? Like the number of times both agency side and when I've been on the business side, I've talked about investing more heavily in Bing. It gets this very negative response, very like, I hate Bing. I mean, look, I'm not even doing it any justice here. I have a Google Partners mug that I have right here. It's like, I understand Google is the big giant, but there are people who are using it. Your target market exists on this platform. If you completely ignore it, you are missing a portion of your customers or potential customers that you could be talking to. So I'll say that generally, like never sleep on Bing. There are people there who you can still make money from and it's worth your investment and your time. Maybe not as much of a percentage of your time as Google, right? So when we talk about the AI side, what's very interesting is Microsoft is trying to say, hey, we're not taking away the search results completely, but we're going to give you the answer to your question as fast as possible. If you're not sure where that answer came from, we're going to tell you the sources, and you can chat with the AI to refine that search and get more to what you're looking for if we don't deliver the best thing. And so that's a completely different user experience than we've ever seen. I think it's going to be the next big thing. I hope that Microsoft actually can take some microshare. I hope that Microsoft can take some market share because I think Google needs a competitor, and I think the industry needs competition in order to continue to innovate. And I think that's really the purpose here. It's like Microsoft is now the innovator. They are the ones pushing the envelope forward.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, while you were talking and just kind of mentioning how people just often take a kind of backseat view of Bing. I was just curious, I think we've over the years looked at market share for these search engines to see, where everyone truly stands. Bing is almost up to 10% now. In the United States, as of January, they were at 7% market share. So, especially if you've got an older demographic, I believe Bing tends to skew in that direction. I mean, you should absolutely be considering this as a secondary option. The next closest are Yahoo and DuckDuckGo, and they each share about, they each have about 2 to 3%. So, I mean, they're really making up about 5% combined. So it's really interesting.
You know, it's funny too, is I don't think those data sources are even pulling the fact that a lot of what we're seeing on the social media side is that Gen Z is starting to use social platforms like a TikTok or even Instagram to do their searches. I mean, I've seen it firsthand where you'll be in a new town on vacation, and then the Gen Zers in the group will go to TikTok and say best places to eat in Atlanta, and then they'll scroll through that to see real-time user-generated content for the city about where people are going to search. What I want to end on is interesting from a business owner / marketer standpoint, and we say this all the time. Don't be in the business of predicting what's coming down the pike. I don't think there's any benefit to any of us being the ones that predicted the next thing unless you're in venture capital and you're actually deploying real dollars building companies in these spaces. I don't see the value in predicting what's coming next. What is incredibly valuable is being one of the first adopters and early taste testers of the new thing as it comes out, because the example we use all the time from the content side of the business is in early 2020 when the pandemic hit, had you tasted and tested Clubhouse and TikTok at the same time, you would have very quickly realized how much quicker your brand could grow on TikTok, and you could have gone in there. And now, 24 months later, we're really seeing content strategies develop from a TikTok first standpoint. And so those early adopters, those people that were really early on back then and reacting to the changing market and not trying to predict it, got a lot of market share and really grew audiences there. And so anything that happens here, we're still really early on. Like, I don't even think ChatGPT and Bing are fully integrated for everyone yet. I think you still have to be on like an early request access list to try to get
beta access, which even I applied for that and I still haven't gotten back from it. And that was about, I'd say 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So they're definitely not letting everybody in.
Yeah. So we're still so early in that it's the fun new thing. And like, you know, journalists love to write about the fun new thing and get a lot of buzz going because that's how you get clicks, right? And that's how they make money. And so it's very easy for us to stop doing the blocking and tackling that we know will work for our business to go chase the new shiny thing. And you can spend a lot of time, waste a lot of time trying to learn the new thing when you should be only spending about 10% of your time on R&D type activities, research and development, right? Whether it's marketing or new products or whatever you're doing in your business. So I love that, Ben. I think what we need to do is just focus on what works, keep an eye on it, and then, connect with you on LinkedIn and all the places to make sure that we stay up to date, right?
Yeah, definitely. And to your last point there, like, it's important to know what is new and what's not. AI is not new. AI in the sense that regular people, average everyday people can interact with it, that is new. Google has been using AI to enhance their search results and to serve ads and to decide who gets what ad for, 10 years, Austin? Like, it's not new. It's been there. They're constantly developing that. And so there's still proven track record stuff that is available out there that you can run ads in and that will work, that you don't have to worry about like, oh, is this so new that it's not working? Like, AI is a buzzword right now, but AI has been in use forever. Yeah,
we're still so far away from you being able to get away from the basics of running solid Google ads with proper landing pages that you need to do that first. Do the unsexy thing first before you start chasing all the new stuff down. Well, Austin, before we let our new partner go, you got any other questions for him here?
I don't know if I got any other questions, but I will tell you one thing I did, Chandler, is I had, just since we're talking so much about AI, I went ahead and had ChatGPT write out a closing hook for the show. So,
Great.
So here goes nothing. Thanks for tuning into The Highlight, the podcast that brings you the latest and greatest in the world of marketing and advertising. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and that you're feeling energized and inspired to take your brand to the next level. Remember, High Beam Marketing is the expert partner you need to make your business shine. Let's keep the conversation going and keep highlighting the best practices and strategies for success. Until next time, keep your eyes on the prize and stay in the highlight.
I'm not sure if I should be terrified or if I think I have job security. I don't know where to land on that. Let us know in the comment section if I should be worried about my job or if Austin officially has it with his new copywriting buddy ChatGPT. Like the AI said, like Austin said, like Ben said, we'd love to serve you. highbeammarketing.com. We appreciate you listening, and we will see you next week.